Another year bites the dust. Thank goodness. Happy New Year, bitches! I'm not gonna lie to you, 2023 was interesting. Switching from a gap year where I was just basically having fun and traveling for a year to getting back into school with annoying classmates and disappointing classes has been rough. And I gotta say, the shows this year weren't great. Most of the shows I was the most looking forward to let me down. And actually the shows I had no expectations for are the ones that really won my heart over this year. So anyways, let's get into it because it's always a fucking long video and review the 74 series that I watched in 2023. As always, I will start by ranking the older shows that I watched this year that aired before 2023 that won't be part of the final ranking. Mr. Queen. I absolutely love this drama in a way I didn't fully expect. This was hilarious with one of the strongest main characters ever. The political and historical stuff were super interesting to me and made me learn a lot. And I have to say, that second lead is my absolute fucking daddy and I've been unable to get him out of my head since. He's just too handsome. The Glory Part 1. I don't think I need to say much about this show. It's incredibly well done and truly a shocking watch from beginning to end. I liked Part 1 less because that's when most of the bullying is shown and that's traumatizing. And also it mostly sets up for Part 2, so it's less wow, but still very good. Sleep With Me. I was finally able to track a subbed version of this and wow, this was absolutely beautiful. The writing, acting and chemistry were amazing and the teams literally never seen before. I truly love this even though its shortness doesn't allow us to fully get invested in the show. Weak Hero Class 1. I gotta say, for such a hyped and well-rated drama, this one wasn't as much of a punch in the gut as I expected it to be. It actually felt a little too surface level to me, and because it's a show about fighting and extreme violence, it felt a little too masculine for a girly girl like me. The male lead bodied this role though. I can't get his face and crazy eyes out of my head. Still a very solid show, but quite forgettable in my opinion. I Will Do It in the Next Life. When I stumbled onto this openly sexual show with the gorgeous actress of Ocean's Love, I was immediately obsessed and binged the 3 seasons in 3 days. This is not a life-changing show, but it's genuinely groundbreaking for such a conservative country like Japan. To have such a sexual female lead own that part of herself was lovely, and this show has a lot of funny and what the fuck moments. I would recommend it. Nahan. I was finally able to watch Nahan after looking for a sub version for months, if not years, since I don't understand the Isan dialects. This was really fun. I absolutely love seeing a more sexual and sassy teenage lead in a Thai drama who's not just sweet and innocent. And I absolutely adore all series set in Isan because they're always so vibrant, musical, and hilarious. I love that this has become a whole genre for Thai dramas in itself, and I'll watch every series in it. 21 Days Theory. This is a very basic story but very cute, and since it's a mini-series, it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is more than I can say for most shows. Choco Milkshake. The premise of the show is like crack cocaine, but I actually quite enjoyed it, mostly because the dog character is one of the most gorgeous men I've ever seen in my entire life, but also because I appreciate a show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but still manages to deliver a decent story. Love of Secrets. All I needed to hear was GL miniseries and I pulled up. This is an okay show but stays quite surface level since it has a very short runtime. Also, I wish the GL couple was more developed. The Director Who Buys Me Dinner. I'm gonna be frank with you, I do not remember anything about this show. Not even the protagonists' faces. Safe to say it's forgettable. Cherry Blossom After Winter. I caved in and watched this super well rated and popular show on my drama list, and just as I thought, it left me completely unbothered. It was cute or whatever, and I liked the main actor, but honestly super forgettable and mediocre. Here are the shows that I am currently watching and therefore won't be part of the final ranking. It's very short compared to every other year. First, we have Cooking Crush. So if you follow me, you surely must know that the only ship I care about is Afghan. I honestly had no expectations for this show, but it has genuinely brought me so much joy. First of all, it's such a pleasure to have an Afghan show pretty much rely almost entirely on their chemistry, because it just reminds me how amazing it is. And for the first time, it is at the absolute forefront. It cannot be ignored, and I'm eating it up. The characters of Ten and Prem are literally my absolute faves. They could be basic, but have so many quirks they're really not. And the writing is honestly so fun and quirky. Overall, this just reminds me of like 2018 era BLs, but with 2023 quality, and I love it. I do hate that gmmtv doesn't post the uncut version on their channel though. Sahara Sensei. You guys know I'm not a fan of problematic tropes in BL, including age gaps and power imbalance, but the character and actor of Toki-kun made me watch this. It's silly and basic, and I will have forgotten about this show by next year, but I have a thing for silly, over-the-top badass characters, and with dyed hair too? Yeah, I'm eating it up. Now we are finally at the final ranking of my 2023 shows, from worst to best. Let's go. The Luminous Solution. You know what? I'll give it to this show. It had a clear vision and executed it. That vision was trash, but points for trying. Zenra Meshi. What looked like a cute rom-com on paper turned out to be one of the most frustrating and chemistry-less relationships I've ever seen. Love the actor in it from Cherry Magic though, give him better roles! Minato Shuji Corn Laundry Season 2. I knew starting this season that it would be shit considering I already didn't love Season 1, but call me a dumb bitch who never learns from her past because I still went and watched this. Couples not acting like real couples were not acceptable in 2017, so to S, babe. What makes you think it's acceptable in 2023? Japanese BLs have a chemistry issue and they need to fix it ASAP. House of Stars. This show honestly had a lot of potential and even some good moments, but the characters, babe, so unlikable. I wanted to punch them all in the face. Interesting vision though, I'll take this over uninspired BLs any day of the week. Chains of Hearts. The most confusing BL show I've ever watched. Again, I applaud the ambition and the vision, and I also applaud the main actor for being so damn beautiful, but it stops there. Jun and Jun. The first Korean BL that has truly missed the mark for me. I can't believe the ship doesn't get developed and barely gets any scenes for half the show. The chemistry was fire though, gotta give them that. And again, that love interest, that male lead, goddamn. Only Friends. I know, get the pitchforks. I honestly found this show insufferable due to its terrible writing. I have a full video about my grabs against it coming out sometime soon, maybe, I don't know, I'm trying. So go watch that when it's out, but honestly just go watch Friend Zone instead because it's just better on every level, including having great female characters, which Only Friends completely lacks. The Jungle. If you watch my last year's reaction to the gmmtv 23 lineup, you would know that this was in my top 5 shows I was the most excited for. Now here we are. How to summarize what's wrong with this show? It was falsely advertised as dark and gritty when it's just a surface level rom-com. The writing is the worst I've ever seen from gmmtv since Tonhan Cholati. Every couple apart from Offpat are underdeveloped as all hell. The friendship is practically non-existent. These guys are supposed to be bad boy players, but we never see them be that. I literally could continue for ages, but yeah, this was bad. Offpat absolutely ate like I knew they would though. Happy merry ending. This show is hella forgettable. I genuinely barely remember anything from it. The execution and acting are okay, but the story is simply uninspired. Korean BLs need to get some flavor, to be honest. The End of the World with You. Now this is an original BL. Gonna be honest, not much has stuck with me apart from the fact that there's a trans character in a Japanese show and that was great. But I will never knock down a show that had a vision and gave it their all. It's just a bit surface level for me, to be honest. Passenger. Now, at this point, I try to be more picky with shows, and when I start watching a show, it's because I believe it will be good. But this was not the case for this show. I knew it would be trash since day one of being announced, and yum yum yum, I ate this shit up. I truly love Mark Natarit a lot. He's not the best actor, but honestly, he has a lot of potential in my opinion, and he's just a cutie patootie. And Cooper Patpazit honestly gave this role the camp it deserved, and honestly, I found myself transported back to 2017 level quality of BLs, and I loved it. The nostalgia was through the roof. Honestly, this would have been so popular back in the day. Amiro Paradox. Also a kind of forgettable show, but quite nice. At least it has an interesting plot, I guess, and I do have a thing for characters with dyed hair. Moonlight Chicken. This had a lot of great things. I loved the Heart and Liming storyline, and Liming as a character was amazing. All the other side characters were great as well. But I just didn't feel Ji-Won at all, especially Won. Their relationship feels so forced and they were just really bland together. I liked a lot of the messages this show gave, but in my opinion, it was a pretty mediocre show in general. And did not, absolutely not deserve the hype and success it got. But you know, that's how I feel about most of the most popular BLs. Anyways. Taikan Yoho. This was okay. There were some aspects I liked, especially how pretty the main actor is, because he really is. And the acting was very, very solid, especially the chemistry. Now though, this is the most unnecessarily toxic relationship ever. This whole time I thought the weatherman guy asked him to live with him so randomly because they didn't know each other that much. But the whole time they were friends and it was obvious they liked each other. Why didn't you just ask him to be your boyfriend like a normal fucking human being? The lack of communication in this drove me actually insane. I couldn't take it. Kiseki, Dear to Me. This started interesting though the age gap was hella icky, but kinda lost me as it went on. It's an okay show, though I have to say please stop having 50 other Taiwanese BL couples do cameos in every single Taiwan BL because I cannot take it anymore! Step by Step. This was a very interesting show that felt distinctly more queer than most BL shows on the market. There were a lot of elements I liked and many others I didn't. Overall, the story just dragged, and what was a genuinely super lovely main character in Pat quickly became kind of an annoying crybaby due to the writing. I don't regret watching this show, though, because it has a lot to offer, but sadly, I think the writing was not the strongest. Homeschool. I didn't watch this show live as it aired because I didn't feel ready for it. So when I ended up watching it, my expectations of it had grown even more due to its success and great rating on sites like My Drama Lists. And I have to say, Wow, this show was honestly kind of dumb. There are things that I liked, be it the cast, the great acting, the world building, the aesthetics of the show being on point, but gosh, the writing is honestly dreadful and makes the actors look over dramatic and the characters look stupid. The logic they follow is absolutely idiotic, and this was honestly both boring and so frustrating I had to force myself to continue watching. All I can say is that I was so glad when it ended, and however cool a sequel with Kautung versus Gun Atapan like they teased can be, I will absolutely not be watching it. Also, go watch my full video where I rant for 30 minutes about homeschool. It's iconic. Thank you. Return Man. So I am beyond obsessed with Pachayanit. This woman is my ultimate girl crush, and honestly, girl crush sounds like I'm just a straight woman. No, I am so gay for her, okay? My bisexual jumps out when I see her, thank you. But I gotta say that I side-eyed this project since day one because it's from the same director as Catch Me Baby with an extremely similar concept. Like, this is a cute series with fun characters. It was especially fun to see Pat in such a light role, which was very uncharacteristic for her who always does a lot of drama. But Catch Me Baby came first only a few months before this and was much stronger in my opinion. And it's kinda sad that Return Man is the only one getting a season 2 and not Catch Me Baby. Dirty Laundry. This is a fun camp show. It doesn't offer a lot because since it's so over the top and short, there's no room for real character developments, but the romance was very fun and lovely and the cinematography absolutely stunning. All the Liquors. This show started with a very strong concept and actually kinda lost it by the end of the episodes. The chemistry was on point though, and that fluttery I think the main actor did all the time, 8. April in Tokyo is. This show was very interesting. Once again, it feels distinctively more queer than other Japanese BLs and was a very original story. That being said, I just didn't really connect with it. It was a bit one note and bland to me. I'm sure many people will absolutely love this show though. Lovemate. This is a simple and straightforward rom-com with good chemistry, but again, I'll use my favorite word for these rankings. Forgettable. Sweet Sensory. This show is very sweet, like its name indicates, and I love its cast so much, especially Ploy Pash and Pig, who are so underrated but amazing actors. Nothing much happens in the show, it's truly just a slice of life, but its message of inclusivity is important and felt. It is a bit surface level, but honestly it's just such a cute show. Don't Touch My Gang. This is a fun and light show that doesn't take itself seriously, which is exactly what it needed to do for me to like it. I surprisingly really enjoyed the boy coming out storyline too. And my baby's Plum and Sing shined once again. The Promise. This show really had me in the first half. I was absolutely eating it up. To be fair, the story, acting, and chemistry were really beautiful, but the show starts to feel amateur after a while. The writing becomes sluggish, and I can't forgive the showrunners for cutting out so many scenes that could have developed the relationship better in the eyes of the viewers. Still a good show, but could have been miles better. Midnight Museum. Speaking of shows that started super strong and ended up in disappointments, this wanted so much to be original and supernatural that it lost itself in the sauce. The end is so disappointing because you can barely understand anything anymore. Kudos to the original vision, great acting from the whole cast, and good CGI for once. Also not gonna lie, that Pat and Bright makeout scene fundamentally changed something in me. This felt like personal. It was, God, like, girl. Dangerous Romance. Another show that I had huge hopes for and ended up being just fine. I think it's an incredibly forgettable show because instead of going the gritty route presented in the trailers, they went the rom-com route, which didn't fit these actors and characters at all in my opinion. It also stayed incredibly surface level even though it could have actually been a really impactful show if it was better written. Also, I'm gonna say it even if it means some of you guys hate me. The Perch-Shimon chemistry is not as good as I hoped, like, at all, actually. Yeah, it was disappointing. Sorry. Love Tractor. Honestly, I really enjoyed this show for its setting and adorable main character. The chemistry and acting were also good, but sadly once again Korean BLs just stay too surface level and short for me to ever be able to consider them amazing. Show Me Love. For the only GL of the year, that one was really sweet. Obviously, it is a bit all over the place with not the greatest writing, but the characters are lovely, the chemistry is fire, and the story is so girly and full of feminine energy, I just ate it up. I was squealing at my screen the whole time even though the plot was stick thin. These girlies were so cute. Girl, I love them. La Pluie. I was waiting to see Title Thanathorn in a main role, and in my opinion, he delivered. He's a very good actor and very cute. As for Pipira Witch, I was very surprised to see him in this role after only seeing him in silly roles in YYY and Y Destiny. But they both did really great for this show. The plot is interesting and I didn't get bored once. It's just that the main characters are a bit too vanilla and boring for me. I'd love to see this ship and especially Title playing characters that just give me more. 10 Years Ticket. Now, another show with Ah Jung-pon I was extremely looking forward to, and yeah, let me down, definitely. This grade has been revised months after the show ended, because while I did enjoy the show while it was airing, it had a lot of issues. The main ship between Ohm and Tu was very bland and boring, and honestly the show was just too long. 18 episodes was just too much for this show. That being said, the acting of this show is beyond phenomenal from everyone. My favorite performances were Vyu Ben-yapa, who honestly carried the whole show, and also Plumpurim and Panrieti, who honestly gave the best performances of their careers. Like, they both ate this up. I was shocked. It is definitely a good show that I would recommend, but I did expect a lot more from the director of Happy Birthday, one of my favorite Thai dramas of all time. But again, this director also did Homeschool, so you know. Loneliness Society. I know this show was infuriating to many people, but as someone who's watched many Lacorns, its more Lacorny aspect didn't even faze me, and I actually had a whole lot of fun. It was great to see Josue finally slay a more emotional scene, and I love this character for him. I think he did great. This was just pure fun, and yes, it's nothing amazingly good, but I honestly really enjoyed it. Delete. Now, my heart always goes feral when I see Thai dramas doing crazy, incredible original plots like this. And they deserve huge credit for that. That being said, this didn't fully hit the way I thought it would, especially the ending. The acting and cinematography go crazy though, and I would still recommend it for anyone who liked Girl From Nowhere, for example. Bon Appétit. This was very cute. I really liked this pairing and these actors and the honesty of this show. It also felt more queer than most KBLs, and while it's not revolutionary and kind of forgettable, I wholeheartedly enjoyed it. Our Dating Sim. Frankly, I don't really remember much from this one except that I had a great time and the chemistry was great. A Shoulder to Cry On. This drama gave me the biggest whiplash. The story is very interesting and well done, the actors well casted for their roles, but the ending is extremely unsatisfying. I know the actors couldn't kiss because they're in a boy band or whatever, but this is the most frustrating build-up ever because it was so good and we just never get a release. Jack O'Frost. This was a very original show that again felt more queer than other Japanese BLs, and though the amnesia storyline is tired, I thought it was very well done. The acting and chemistry were also very good, and this one felt supernatural. My Beautiful Man 2. Now, I didn't necessarily think that My Beautiful Man needed a sequel, much less two since it also got a movie, but I actually really enjoyed this season too. I thought it stayed true to the characters while developing them and the relationship even more, and I still can't get over how raw and real the fight scenes between these sheep are. I genuinely love them so much, and honestly, yeah, all I want from a sequel is for it to respect the original material and characters, so I really enjoyed this one. Kimi ni wa Todokanai. This was very cute and enjoyable. I'm always a sucker for friends to lovers stories, so this was right up my alley. It's kind of forgettable, but that's okay. Never Let Me Go. I really enjoyed this show while it was airing and thought it was executed well, and I liked seeing this pairing in more challenging roles, especially Pond, who has gotten way better than in Fish Up on the Sky. That being said, this was honestly kind of forgettable. It's been less than a year and I already can't remember much of it. Very well directed though. Laws of Attraction. This was kinda surface level and a bit underdeveloped, but very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this actors pairing, and this ship was really great to see get together. The storyline is straightforward and pretty well written, and overall I don't see how anyone could not enjoy this show. Love in Translation. This was basic but also not. It honestly subverted a lot of my expectations and was really fun to watch. The acting and chemistry were amazing, and I also enjoyed the shorter length of the show. Destiny Seeker. I binged this show in one night when I was bored in true Axel fashion, and I enjoyed it a lot, surprisingly. It's not anything original or crazy, yet I enjoyed every pairing and thought the chemistry was fire. It's just a fun, chill romance show that I see myself rewatching when I'm bored because it's very low stakes. The characters are very fun too. The New Employee. I honestly really liked this show. I thought it felt more queer than usual Korean BLs, and the chemistry was really beautiful. I don't know what it was this year with boss employee shows, but this one was so cute I was willing to overlook the HR disaster that this was. What Did You Eat Yesterday Season 2? I'm gonna be honest, I considered dropping this season when the first few episodes felt a bit useless and boring, compared to the movie released earlier this year that was the perfect wrap-up for these characters in my opinion. However, the second half of the show definitely won me over and was honestly really beautiful. I love this development of Shiro-san, especially showing a way more caring side of him, and I really enjoyed seeing this couple interact with all the other characters. The talk about leaving a will and potentially getting married if it gets legalized in the last episode really touched me, and while I do wish this show gave us more physical intimacy, I absolutely love this season and would love to continue watching these characters for years to come. I absolutely love them. The Warp Effect. In my opinion, this is one of the most important Thai dramas ever released, and its diversity in its representation of sex was not only important, but needed. I wasn't a fan of the ending at all, but I still enjoyed this show a whole lot for its amazing characters and would absolutely recommend. Unintentional Love Story. This is the first longer Korean BL I watch in a while, if ever, and I really enjoyed it. Because it's longer, we really have more time to develop and get to know the characters, and I wholly enjoyed the setting in a small beach town. It was just a very different show with also an openly gay character, which is crazy for KBLs, so yeah, I really liked it. Wish they would have developed the side chick more though, because I really love them. Kimi to nara koi hoshite mite mo. I am very sorry for that butchering. Another Japanese BL that felt more distinctively LGBTQ+ this year, which I really enjoyed. The relationship is beautiful and the characters very lovable. Definitely a show I would recommend. One Room Angel. I actually really love this show. It's a bit sad but very beautiful. I'm a sucker for these kinds of very existential shows where the characters come to grow a lot, and this was definitely a show like that. I couldn't recommend it more, even though it's not a regular BL at all. I want to see more of this actor too, he was excellent. I Feel You Linger in the Air. This was one of the shows I was the most looking forward to this year, and thankfully it was actually good compared to most others. I love the world building, decors, characters and acting. It was truly beautiful and wonderful to witness. That being said, the show kinda lost me with its ending. And even before the ending, I felt like it dragged a little bit too much in the last few episodes. I know that they were preparing for the special episode and second season, but yeah, it would have definitely been ranked higher if the writing was a bit tighter. Still a very good show though. A Boss and a Babe. If you watch my reaction to the gmmtv 2023 lineup, you would know that I really was not hyped for this. However, upon seeing the final trailer that seemed less like an HR disaster and hearing some great feedback from the fandom, I decided to watch this show and found myself mesmerized. While it's not a revolutionary series by any means, I absolutely loved how the writers managed to make such a basic story bustling with interest through thoroughly developing its characters and even the side ones, and tackling some very sensitive and important topics well. This is truly a great show, and I am so glad it proved me wrong. More great basic shows like this one, please. A Breeze of Love. I literally watched this one on the last day of the year, and gosh, this was so cute. I loved every second of it. Chemistry and writing on fleek despite the simple story. Definitely one of the best KBLs ever. The 8th Sense. I think it was clear from the first episode of this show that it was nothing like other Korean BLs. It does look more amateur since it's an indie show with a low budget, yet it also has more soul and a more clear vision of what it wants to tell. This story does feel significantly more queer than usual KBLs, and as an indie girly myself, I really enjoyed its writing and directing. Though the story itself is nothing out of the ordinary and was giving early 2000s queer storyline on a British soap opera, the execution was very solid and I really appreciated this show. The Glory Part 2. We have tackled part 1 in my older shows ranking, even though I watched both parts back to back, but this show is truly amazing. It's hard to find compliments for a show when it's just so well executed, apart from it was great, but I truly enjoyed this second part especially so much and thought the acting and the characters were super enticing. Would absolutely recommend if you can stomach it. She loves to cook and she loves to eat. If you told me that I would get the sapphic version of What Did You Eat Yesterday in 2023, I wouldn't have believed you. I love this show. It's very slow and contemplative, but the two characters are extremely striking and the relationship is beyond touching. I also love that the show explicitly shows us a late blooming lesbian discovering herself, especially for Japanese drama that was honestly groundbreaking. Also love to see a plus-size character whose weight is never commented on. I was over the moon to hear that there will be a season 2 and it's truly so well deserved. I Will Knock You. I think 2023 is the year that showed me that basic shows can still find ways to be quirky and different, and this show was one of them. This is camp and silly and so fun, and the setting is original, the characters have never been seen before, the story is well written and executed, and the acting was surprisingly incredible at times. I had so much fun in front of this despite the kind of problematic age gap, and this show reminded me exactly why I love Thai drama so much. No other kind of shows from any other countries can pull off pure silliness like they can. My School President. When I started watching this show, it was mostly because the plot reminded me of Lovesick, one of my favorite comfort shows. I expected it to be a basic high school show, which it was, yet the directing and writing managed to make this show incredibly quirky and lovable. The soundtrack is great, the friend group beautiful, and the relationship so sweet and healthy. Fort and Gemini are also incredibly strong actors, and while they're not for me because they're literal babies and I'm almost 25, I think their popularity is deserved. I thoroughly enjoyed this show so much and understand why it became so popular. To the Moon and Back. When I started this Lacorn, seeing its high rating on my drama list, I was still somewhat reticent to believe that it would be that good. And when I tell you it surpassed all of my expectations, this show has so much good in it. First of all, I absolutely loved all the queer characters. They were beyond amazing and the Dart storyline had me in shambles. The main ship are very vanilla yet interesting from beginning to end, and Matalada might be the best Lacorn female lead of all time. Everyone delivered incredible performances, and my absolute favorite was Ryu Wachiwarish, who I knew from the boy band 9x9, but absolutely bodied this role and made me become a stan instantly. I absolutely love him. He's hot as fuck. I honestly barely have anything bad to say about this show. It's both fun and touching and has some of the best characters Lacorns have ever seen. I also have never cried in front of Lacorns until this, and it says a lot. I truly could not recommend it more. Like, it's literally in my top 5 shows of the years. Like, I know it was a slow year or whatever, but this has never happened before. No Lacorn has made it in my top 5. It's so good. Be my favorite. If you would have told me that this show would be in my top 5 favorite shows of the year, I would have laughed at you. Yet here we are. This show is flawed and could have been better, especially on the writing of some storylines, yet truly stole my heart overall. From the second trailer, I knew that the theme of feeling like your life isn't good enough, so much so that you want to go back in the past to change things, would be incredibly relatable. The topic of this show is quite different from any other and makes it stand out so much more. Surprisingly, I also thought Chris was great with Gawain and looked way less tilted than when he did BL in the past. Though of course that does not excuse his past problematic moments. I also loved Pisang's coming out storyline, and overall this love story was beautiful and I had an amazing time in front of this show. I am now past Flug Gawain stan. I'm obsessed with this man. My love for Flug Gawain is insane. It's almost at this point it's almost as much as my love for Montanuchai and Of Jumpon, which is crazy to say. So yeah, once again, if you can stomach this show having a problematic lead, I would recommend it so much. It was literally the highlight of my year. I love this show. Our Dining Table. I love when I come into a show with zero expectation and it blows me away. The summary I read of this show before starting it could not have prepared me for how beautiful this story is. The themes of found family and healing are genuinely 2 of my absolute favorites, so this story touched me so much. It seems simple on the surface but really digs deep into the characters and their development, which was perfect. The relationship in itself was also beautiful and so healthy, and the performances were great. Truly a heartwarming show that I can see myself rewatching again and again. And lastly, for the number 1 this year, we have Midnight Motel. As one of my most hyped shows for 2022, Midnight Motel didn't disappoint. I genuinely think it's one of the best executed Thai dramas I've ever seen. Not only is the cinematography beyond gorgeous, looking straight out of an A24 movie, the story is both fun and deep, the writing is honestly so clever, hilarious and truly perfect from beginning to end, but of course the acting was the shining star in my opinion. When I saw that I would get a show with 3 of my all-time favorite actors of Mon and Jan, I knew they would deliver, and they were perfect. Off was such a strong presence on screen, playing both a loser and a cool guy at the same time, both smart and funny in a way that Of Jumpon is kind of the only actor that can portray paradoxical traits this well in almost all of his roles. I fucking love him. Jan was perfect and delivered the more emotional scenes on the show perfectly, but I have to give this one to Mon, as this was by far the best performance of the show, but also his best performance period. In it, he toes the line perfectly between a completely unhinged villain and one of the most pathetic characters ever. His acting is beyond brilliant, and overall the fact that this show is practically perfect, wrapped up into just the right number of episodes, make it the best show of the year in my eyes without any doubt. To conclude, I really hope that 2024 is better, not just on the personal front, but also with the shows it has to offer. I've seen someone make a list of already 47 BL shows announced for next year, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. But to be honest, I already do have high hopes for the second half of Cooking Crush, Pluto, the series with Namtan Film, My Golden Blood with Just Gawin, 23.5 with Milk Love, and of course, Spare Me Your Mercy with Tortana Pop and Jailer. Bitch, I just know that show is gonna eat so fucking bad. But yeah, honestly, I'm kind of good for the next year. All these shows already, if these shows are remotely good, I'm fine. I'm happy. I have my off gun. I'm now obsessed with Just Gawin, and I'm also obsessed with Namtan Film. These are my 3 ships. These are my 3 babies, and that's all I care about. So, I'm good. In the meantime, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time and have a great day.